Hi, welcome to my kitchen. My name is Morgan. Today we're going to be making the Ball Book of Home Preserving Sombrero barbecue sauce. I have 2 giant bowls of tomatoes that I just ran through some boiling water so I can easily remove the skins and then I can get them cored and diced up. I need 20 cups of diced tomatoes for the barbecue sauce. So if I have enough, I'm going to go ahead and double the recipe. So I'll need 40 cups of diced tomatoes. And then if I have even more leftovers, I'm gonna go ahead and just get them into jars and just process them as raw tomatoes so I can use them for chilies, soups, anything I want to in the future. So let's get started.
That is an 8-cup measuring cup. I believe it's Pampered Chef brand. I got it almost 5 years ago now as a wedding gift, and I absolutely love it. And it's a plus because it's entertainment for my baby because I'll be whisking up like pancakes or something in it, and he thinks it's the funniest thing ever watching the batter go round in the bowl. So I'm just filling that measuring cup up 5 times to get 40 cups of diced tomatoes, and I am draining as much liquid out as possible in my kitchen sink just so it's less to cook down in the stock pot. And once I'm done getting these tomatoes, I'm going to take a break on peeling tomatoes and get all of my other vegetables prepped and in my pot. And you can use whatever varieties of tomatoes you would like when canning any tomato recipe. Whether you are growing your tomatoes in your garden or even just buying them at the grocery store or farmer's market, it is completely up to you. Moving on to the rest of our vegetables, I needed 3 cups of chopped green bell pepper. You could use whatever color bell pepper you wanted to. And I put gloves on just because I'm going to be dicing up jalapenos next. And then I needed 4 jalapenos, seeded and destemmed, and just chopped up. And I put those in my stock pot, and then I needed 4 cups of chopped celery and 4 cups of chopped onions. And those were all homegrown celery and onions. My celery wasn't that big, but hey, it's better than nothing. So now that I have all of my ingredients in my pot cooking down, just all softening up, I'm moving on to skinning and just quartering the rest of my tomatoes so I can just can them as raw tomatoes. And I'm just following the Ball Blue Book's guide on canned tomatoes in 4 easy steps. And I'm just going to be canning them in their own juices. So back to the barbecue sauce. I had it cooking down for probably 45 minutes or so. And I'm just going through with my immersion blender, trying to get it as smooth as possible. And this is the consistency that I ended up with. And I'm just going to let that cook down by half or so, and then we will add the rest of our ingredients. And we are prepping them up now so they'll be ready whenever it is cooked down. So I needed 5 cups of white distilled vinegar. You want to make sure it's 5% acidity. The recipe calls for a spice bag of 2 teaspoons of whole black peppercorns, but I just used ground black pepper and used 2 teaspoons of that. Now I'm adding 2 tablespoons of dry mustard powder and 2 tablespoons of paprika, then adding 3 teaspoons of non-iodized salt. You could technically use iodized, but it will discolor your food over time and it just won't look as nice. The recipe calls for 4 cloves of garlic. I don't have any fresh garlic, so I'm just using 4 teaspoons of minced garlic. Now I'm adding 4 teaspoons of a hot pepper sauce. This is leftover cayenne hot sauce that I made in a previous canning video. So if you're interested, go check out that video. This hot sauce turned out amazing. Our final ingredient to add is 3 cups of lightly packed brown sugar. And I'm using a light brown sugar. You could use dark. It is up to you, your preference. The darker the brown sugar, the more molassesy flavor you'll have. It is just up to you. Don't know if molassesy is a word, but we're going with it. And while we're waiting for our barbecue sauce to cook down, to be able to add that vinegar mixture, I'm going to go ahead and get my raw tomatoes all jarred up. I'm just putting the tomatoes in first, and I'm going to crush them down, trying to express some more juice out of them, and then I will go through and just top off what I need to with that leftover juice in the bowl. And we are going to go to 1/2 inch of head space. I had forgotten to add my salt and citric acid to the bottom of the jar, so I'm just adding it in now. I'm adding 1 teaspoon of salt into each of my jars, and then 1/2 teaspoon of citric acid. And if you don't have citric acid, you could add 2 tablespoons of lemon juice per quart jar. And making sure to debubble, because those tomatoes have a lot of space between them, and you could really tell with that quart jar on the left there was a big air gap in there, so just making sure to go through and debubble, and we'll readjust my headspace when I am done debubbling and getting everything mixed together. I'm not sure if you can really hear it, but I just have a bad stuffy nose right now. I'm just kind of recovering from a head cold, and that's why I wasn't talking much in this video. I figured I could just do voiceovers and I'd probably sound a little bit better and be easier to hear me. So I apologize for sounding like this, but hopefully you'll be better by the next video. I'm just double checking my headspace, making sure I am at 1/2 inch. It never hurts to double check. Now I am going through and wiping my rims down with just a wet paper towel. Since it was nothing but tomatoes, salt, and citric acid, I'm just wiping it with water. You could use vinegar, it's up to you, your preference. And now I am getting new lids on and then getting the rings on. And these tomatoes were basically like kind of room temperature at this point. So I'm getting them in a cold canner, because you don't ever want to put cold jars into a hot canner. The steam behind this pot is from the barbecue sauce. I'm adding more water to my pot to be able to get it above the jars. I'm aiming for at least 2 inches above my jars, because this is going to process for 1 hour and 25 minutes when it comes up to a rolling boil, and you always want to make sure your water remains above your rims of your jars for your whole processing time. I had this boiling for a couple hours now, so I'm now going to add my vinegar, sugar, and spices, and I'm going to get that all mixed up good, and then I'm going to let it just boil down for a little bit longer until it's kind of the consistency of like a thin commercial barbecue sauce. In that time, our water bath canner for our tomatoes had come up to a rolling boil, so I set my timer for an hour and 25 minutes, and I'm just keeping my eye on it to make sure the water remains above the rims. And while our canner is going, I'm getting the barbecue sauce all jarred up. We're going to 1/2 inch of headspace. Always making sure to go through and debubble and checking our headspace to make sure it is correct. And now I'm going through with a vinegar soaked paper towel, wiping the rims really good because that barbecue sauce was kind of sticky on them. So just want to make sure that your jars are really clean and that there's no nicks or cracks in your rims. And I was loading them in the canner as I went and got that up to a rolling boil, and I set my timer for 35 minutes. And in the meantime, our tomatoes were done, so I got them pulled out, and I'm going to let them cool, and then I'm going to get the barbecue sauce, or the last of the barbecue sauce, into that pressure canner and just have it water bath can for, again, 35 minutes. I needed to add more water to be able to get an inch or two above the rims of my pint jars. Our first round of barbecue sauce was done in the water bath canner, so now I am just pulling it out. And if you wanted to make this barbecue sauce spicier, you could just leave the seeds of the jalapenos in, or you could even use like cayennes or even habaneros. The second batch of barbecue sauce was done, and it was perfect timing because I had just finished my 9 p.m. supper.
All right, we got all of our jars pulled out of the canners. It's been a long late night canning, but we got 14 pints of the Sombrero barbecue sauce. It's sweet, tangy, spicy. It's anything that you want in a barbecue sauce. It's really good. I highly recommend it. I'm sure it'll just get better sitting in the jar. This much barbecue sauce is probably a year's worth of barbecue sauce for me and my husband. And maybe I might be able to gift a few. My sister had come over earlier and she said, "Oh, it smells good in here." So I might just have to gift her a jar or two. And then I got 4 quarts of just raw tomatoes that I quartered, and they're all set, ready to go on the pantry shelf. So thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.